Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the new Paradigm Woods and Irons from Callaway.
I'm Whit Watson. This is your Golf Central update. The final leaderboard at the second Women's Major Championship of the year, the KPMG Women's PGA Championship, and Ruoning Yin of China finishing one shot ahead of a hard-charging Yuka Saso, herself a major champion 2 years ago at the U.S. Women's Open. 5 players tied for third, including Spain's Carlota Ciganda, who tied for the low round Sunday with a 64, and Rose Zhang, in her first major as a professional, flirted with the lead and finished tied for 8th. And who better than Annika Sorenstam to talk about the latest KPMG Women's PGA champion? She herself won 3 in a row from 03 to 05. That is, of course, just a small part on a long list of accomplishments. 72 LPGA Tour wins, 10 majors overall. Annika joined Damon Hack and Eamon Lynch on Golf Today.
Annika, thanks for taking some time out, because I know you're busy working for next week at Pebble Beach. But quickly on the KPMG, when you saw Ruoning Yin's performance yesterday, from someone who doesn't really have a track record, who hasn't really been in that position much, just one tour win before, were you surprised by how solid she was down the stretch?
Yes, hello. I really was. I mean, obviously, we were glued to the TV. We thought, I always watch the majors. It's exciting. And then now when the ladies are teeing up at great golf courses like Baltusrol, et cetera, it just makes it more exciting. And as you saw, the last hour or so, there was so many players that could have a chance to win. They were there in a 2 or 3 shots. And yeah, I was very, very surprised to see such a young player, experienced, but then again, as we know, not that experienced, to be able to pull it through on a tough golf course like you just mentioned earlier in your show. I mean, it was an awesome display of golf, certainly from tee to green.
Annika, some players never figure out major championships. You did it 10 times. What makes a great major championship player?
Well, number one, I would say just patience. I mean, as you know, these are not sprints. These are marathons. It's all about just being patient. It's all about just, controlling your game. Especially a golf course like that. I mean, it really tests every part of your game, whether it's driving, iron shots, short game. That takes experience. And then you look at the leaderboard and you start, and to me, that's, that just tells you a lot of poise, a lot of mature, and just, focus on your game, hitting one shot at a time. And as you know, I mean, if the tournaments were 54 holes or if they were 65 holes, we would have different names on those trophies. That's what makes the major so special.
So well said. Now, you mentioned Baltusrol, this special venue. You've won 72 LPGA events. Why do venues matter just in terms of the pedigree and history and quality of the course?
For all the things you just said, Damon. I mean, I always say women, we have bucket lists too, right? These are courses that have a lot of history. The traditional golf courses, they are challenging. They're just exciting to watch. The history where the men has played, I think it makes such a difference. I mean, it gives you respect. It gives you credibility to these majors. I mean, when I finished playing, we started to play some courses that had a little bit more of a reputation like that. But this is what really has elevated the LPGA and the women's golf, is to be able to tee it up on these fantastic courses. They're super challenging and they're risk reward, all of them. And I think it's just fantastic.
Annika, in some ways, that's more of a philosophical question about elevating the women's game by going to these venues that have a lot of major championship pedigree. But going back to when you were a player and you were focused on walking away with that trophy on Sunday night, did you care what golf course you were playing on, or was your job just to dissect what was in front of you?
Well, I approached every tournament, like it was the biggest thing. And obviously, at that time, you take the courses that you played at, and many courses were great. It's not a criticism to that. It was just more like, when you have a major and the history on these courses, it does matter. I think the fans tune in and they love watching golf courses that people are familiar with. But I take every major, I take every win. I appreciate everything I've done. I didn't certainly look at the course and say this is not, not as special. They were all very special to me, and I'm super thankful. But I just think, how do you grow the game of golf? Well, there's to put them on courses like the ladies are getting the chance to play on today. So I think that's really important.
We just saw highlights of your 3rd straight win in the Women's PGA Championship back in 2015. You held off Michelle Wie, who was 15 years old at the time. So you know what it's like to see these phenoms come up who have a lot of buzz, a lot of attention around them. We kind of have a similar vibe going on with the Rose Zhang right now. Are you surprised by the start she's gotten off to in her professional career?
Well, I mean, what can I say about Rose's start? I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, to go out there, I mean, your first tournament, and then also to, finish top 10 in your first major like that, it's really incredible. But you just look at the golf today, look at the young players. I mean, they are getting coached at such an early age. College golf has really risen to a different level. There's lots of, initiatives out there to make these players more prepared, more ready, and just a lot more mature. And I mean, obviously, with the Annika Foundation, when we host these events, all these players you mentioned, I mean, Ruoning Yin, she has played in events. She's an Annika alumni. Rose Zhang is an Annika alumni. They have opportunities now that I would say that the previous generation really didn't have. When they get prepared, they get opportunities to play and really grow a lot sooner than we used to see. Obviously, coaching is important, and the resources and access, it makes really a big difference.
Annika, you're preparing for the U.S. Women's Open at Pebble Beach. You've won 3 of them. I was there for the win at Newport. Yellow shirt, Pat Hurst asking for an autograph as he walked up the 18th fairway. What are your expectations next week? Because when I look at you, I just think you're Annika, the 72-time LPGA winner.
Well, Damon, you're the best. Thank you so much. I mean, obviously, I'm going to rely on every experience I have and everything, but I'm just super excited to get the special exemption from the USGA. And as you know, the US Open has a special place in my heart. That's where my career started. And as you know, I hold my last shot at the US Open in Interlaken in Minnesota to kind of finish my US Open career there. And then, of course, winning the Women's Senior Open 2 years ago as a mother. So USGA has a big place in my heart. And, what can I tell you? For the women to play at Pebble Beach is historic. It's just it's a milestone in so many ways. I'm excited. I've been working on my game. I find something, but what golfers say, when they find something, you never know. But I'm excited. I'm hitting the ball pretty well. Now I just got to go out there and score and make some putts, but I'm going to enjoy every moment. My family will be there. We have friends coming out, and, I want people to tune in because this is very, very big for women to golf to head to Pebble Beach.
Annika, we tend to focus rightly on your 10 titles in major championship golf, but what often gets overlooked is the staggering consistency through your career. You played 58 majors, you made 53 cuts, 23 top 5 finishes, 10 wins, 6 seconds. We hear a lot of golfers these days talk about they go into a major with a game plan and they execute it to the bitter end. How much of it was in your mind about kind of being patient and then waiting, putting yourself in position and then waiting to see when you could be opportunistic and grabbing it when the opportunity arose?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that just putting yourself in contention, regularly is super important, not just for the confidence, but just in general being up there. I mean, it just makes you more comfortable. And I mean, I am super proud of my consistency. You're right. It maybe doesn't get talked about, but that's really was my strength. I was a consistent player. Didn't make a lot of mistakes. I was, most of the time somewhat in the hunt, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But, being up there was really important to me to be able to keep that consistent play, whether it's to the green or around the greens, and just always be in the hunt. I love, obviously, being in hunt. I know a lot of golfers do, but I mean, that's really what, drove me to just hopefully, win some more tournaments. But I'm going to rely on that and trying to stay away from big numbers, just be consistent. As you know, majors, that's what it's all about. And we're all going to make, a bogey or 2 here, but you want to just stay away from the big numbers and be able to put a good score together.
Annika, I love when you said I'm hitting the ball well. I almost fell over in laughter because that is what you have always done. So excited to watch you in a couple of weeks. We're so excited. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll speak to you soon.
You got it. It's always fun. Thanks for having me.